Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this poster presentation on the topic Pedagogy Involving Technology and Planning for the Future. I am the facilitator of this session. My name is Carmen from the CHK. To start our session, we will have the presenters share the key message of their posters, and then we will have 20 minutes or so for interaction and Q&A. Our first presenter will be Dr. Joe Lam from Polytechnic University, but unfortunately, we cannot get in touch with him now. So maybe we can move on to the second presentation, which will be delivered by Dr. Jackie Wu Chen from Hong Kong Baptist University. And Dr. Chen has prepared a video for us. So let's enjoy the video.
Well, hello, fellow pandemic-era educators who perhaps, like us, have had trouble adapting to very rapid change to e-learning, and therefore have looked at some tools, such as Instagram, for inspiration of how we can teach. We've examined Instagram stories, this highly interactive short video clips, and we want to show some interesting pedagogical potential, but also some significant issues with this platform as a way of teaching human anatomy.
To set up the prototype account, we have first looked into the UK anatomy syllabus to identify areas of interest. We constructed questions using human anatomy images and Instagram built-in functions. Instagram stories have 4 functions which aid in designing questions. Quiz function, which students choose the correct option from 2 to 4 choices. Polling function, which students choose between 2 choices and be shown the percentage of each. Slider function, which students can move the slider to indicate the level of confidence and difficulty. And typing function, which students can answer short answer questions. Educators can then use the built-in analytics to look at students' responses and analyze what topics students find difficult. We have produced a total of 40 different story posts on the forearm with all 4 Instagram functions, with quiz function and polling function being the most popular. In particular, we would like to highlight polling function as it yields 3 different types of questions: true or false, MCQs, and yes and no questions. The former 2 question type test for students' knowledge, while the latter asks students to reflect on his or her learning progress by asking students to state if he or she understands a concept. Both polling function and slider function also allow students to see their peers' choices instantly, so they can reflect on their answer. We didn't include many typing function questions, as we believe that Instagram Story is a relaxed and a quick learning platform. Using Instagram to teach human anatomy has many advantages. Many students are very familiar with the platform, so they can easily access the questions. Being on Instagram means that students will be anonymous, so that they don't need to worry about making mistakes. Moreover, students can also see the peers' answer when they're trying to use the slider function or the polling function, so they can compare their answers with the peers.
Well, in the end, we didn't launch the platform for the simple reason that we didn't want to mix teaching and leisure into one space. I think this is a serious issue with using Instagram stories, is that it's a constant reminder of work in what should be a protected time and may lead to significant issues for our students. So in the end, we decided to learn the pedagogical lessons from Instagram stories, very valuable, polling in particular, but in the end, we think work should be work and play should be play. Thank you.
Thank you for the video. Actually, I think I messed up with the presentation order. Am I correct, right, Wayne? So
yes.
Yeah. So sorry about that. So the second presentation should be delivered by, the next one should be Dr. Jackie Wu Chen from Hong Kong Baptist University, right?
Yes.
Yes. So Dr. Chang, please.
Okay, may I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I guess you can see the poster right now. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jackie Chan from Hong Kong Baptist University. My poster title is Establish collaborative communication for cross-cultural inquiry learning using Slack among Hong Kong and USA students teachers. In this experiment, we grouped it to Hong Kong and 2 to 3 USA student teachers in one cross-cultural inquiry learning groups. In total, we have 15 groups, okay? Our students were attending an ICT-related course taught by the three authors in this poster, which is me, Dr. Jackie Chan, and Dr. Lisa Deng, and Professor Shan from USA. Okay, so student teachers required to work on a self-constructed inquiry assignment, which conducted 45% of their course mark within 7 weeks. Course tutors, which is me, introduced Slack, the apps that we used to the student at the beginning of the announcement of this assignment. Students were encouraged to use Slack as their communication channel, but it's not necessary or is not compulsory. There are 4 benefits that for implementing Slack. First of all, is have a thread function. Okay, what's the meaning of thread function is that you can reply to one message and all of this will be under it, and you can view it by clicking on the original message, which will be like this. Okay, you can click on the message and then you can continue the discussion. Okay, the second one is that the convenient third-party apps connection for receiving the latest message and updates. You can connect it to Google Drive. You can connect it to Zoom so that you can receive the latest updates from these apps. And also the first one is accessible on multiple operating system platform. You can browse, you can access the work group on Slack through your mobile device and also from your computer. Okay, no matter it's Macintosh or it is a PC based. Okay, the fourth benefits is that each workspace requires students' email address for registration and login. This will enhance students' privacy. Okay, we can also free from the learning management system among different university. So why we call this as a cross-cultural inquiry learning? This is because the inquiry topics related to a comparison of a cultural, social, or educational issues among their living place. In the inquiry process, students can learn the same topic in other cultural settings, which means that students from Hong Kong, they can learn it from the USA students, and in another way round also. By using Slack, it is expected that students will make use of this communication channel to exchange and collaborate with each other in order to construct their own answers and assignment. Okay, when students complete the assignment, or Slack messages on all public channels were export and analyzed by using both quantitative and qualitative methods. So why I say that all the public channels, this is because the private channels is the exportation for the private channels only is for the paid version. Okay, so you may see that the distribution of the message among 15 groups, Slack working groups, workspaces. The main message is about 100 line, and about each student will send out 24 message, the median, standard deviation, and the range. For the lowest one, which means that a message group with 27 message or 3 students per message, which means that that group most likely swap to another platform such as Skype or WhatsApp when they know each others. And after that, we try to analyze all the message on the platform. As you can see from the right hand side, we use the coding schemes to code all the message. The behavioral categories about they're trying to plan, contribute, seek inputs, reflect or monitor. And the last, they might have a social interaction among them. You can see that most of the activities is we're trying to plan or to organize all the work in the assignment. And whilst a number of message also contributing the knowledge or the information to the group. And so that you can see that the most common type of message is about schedule and conduct a video group meeting, allocate human resources for the group project, schedule and monitor the project milestone. And the last, you can see that some of them may use it to report and share completed parts of works. And from this frequency diagram, you can see that, oh, there's so many messages in week 2 and week 5. This is because there are 2 deadlines, project milestone at that time, so that you can see that there's most of the frequency is concentrated in these 2 weeks.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think it's time for the next presentation. I think we can get back to you at the Q&A session.
Okay.
If you have more to share. So
okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that Dr. Joe Lam is here with us, right? Are you here?
Yes.
I'm sorry for the hiccup. So if it's okay, you can do the presentation now.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a PowerPoint or anything to assist your presentation?
Poster. So can you see the PDF file?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So only 3 minutes, I know. So this is a work that we done between 2 departments, ABCD department and also Applied Physics in PolyU. So and I'm trying. So we are trying to make use of the platform, a remote lab platform that developed by Dr. Xiaomac. And I try this project on my general education subject, ABCD2009. Okay, this is a general education subjects. So in these subjects, we are trying to help the student to understand some scientific content using the remote lab. And the other is we try to make use of the mobile sensor, and the student can work around using the mobile sensor to measure the air pollutants over PolyU campus. So I'm going to share with you the pictures. So in this poster, you can see there's a lab. Okay, there's a laboratory experiment, so we can do the student do it traditionally in lab. And this is the setup in the remote lab platform. Okay, that are located in Applied Physics. And the student can control the experimental environment using computer. They just simply book a time and then they log in, and then they can control the apparatus. For example, lighting and the sensor in order to measure the global warming effect. Actually, this experiment is to study the global warming effects. And the other part of this experiment, of these projects, we are trying to make use of the mobile sensor. And this mobile sensor can help the student to measure the air pollutant around PolyU campus. So, and they can collect the data using the tablet, and the tablet has been installed the apps. And this is very simple. And for the case, for the sensor, they just simply make use of the 3D printer to prepare the case. And this is the environment the student can measure the air pollutant over PolyU campus. So finally, we would like to thank the funding for PolyU for the strategic plan initiative fund, and the other is the QEF fund. Actually, this fund is the QEF fund has been obtained by Dr. Mac. So this is about our work. And for our results, we find out that the student quite happy about the results, and the 91% of students show positive response, and they over 75% of the students, so they are very enjoyable for the learning experience. So this is about our findings. So I think it is time for 3 minutes. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lam, for the presentation. The next presentation will be given by Dr. Katherine K.P. Chang from the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So, Dr. Chang, please.
Okay, so thank you. So I would like to share my PDF file. Okay, so good afternoon. So thank you for your time to stay for the e-poster presentation. So I'm Katherine Shan, so from PolyU. And I would like to share on the topic of applicability of e-learning for skill-focused course. So to become a health professionals, so clinical skills learning is essential. So for each new clinical skills performed, so cognitive knowledge, procedural and communication skills must be learned. So in our school, so laboratories have been equipped with simulator, so that students can practice team communication and interdisciplinary care on the mannequin through face-to-face laboratory practice. So of course, we always adopt technology in our teaching already. But unluckily, so because of the pandemic, so we have to conduct a synchronous online class in order to minimize the public health risk. Now, so conventionally, the standard delivery of skills learning was conducted through face-to-face lectures and laboratory practice sessions. So the usual time provided for the laboratory sessions was 2 hours for the second year nursing students. Now, so the laboratory guide was provided before the session. Now, so for online mode, so because last year we switched to the online mode of teaching and learning, so not only provision of the laboratory guide with the case scenario for pre-reading, okay, so the case scenario, and also short video clips of the clinical procedures were provided to the students for pre-reading. And the students were required to attend the synchronized class through the platform of Blackboard Collaborate Ultra on the day of the laboratory sessions. So there were two parts of the sessions. In the first part, so the whole class of the students attend sessions at the same time slot for briefing and the reviewing of the knowledge. Some online tools were used, such as Mentimeter. So we employed Mentimeter was employed to check on the cognitive learning of the student. So students use their mobile or voting method. The voting results show the immediate on the screen to the class. Afterwards, answers with explanation were provided through the tool. And in the second part of the session, so students were required to join their assigned online groups with individual facilitators for scenario-based practice. And after joining their online groups, so students were randomly paired into different breakout groups on the through the Blackboard platform. And they were encouraged to practice and role play with their group partners and practice nurse-client interactions during the breakout sessions. So the briefing was conducted so that students could review their and reflect on their actions during the scenarios at the end of the sessions. And then, so in compare with the satisfaction of the learning with the conventional method on the previous years, so students were satisfied with the learning experience through the synchronous online class in general. So it's not perfect, but still the students felt satisfaction throughout the experience. And they value the case scenario, case-based practice through the online learning, and it was helpful to their learning, especially lacking of clinical experience of this group of students. So the case scenarios were adopted from real clinical cases. So they would also like to have more sharing from the laboratory facilitators on real clinical experience. Okay. And the findings suggest technology can enhance interactive learning of critical skills. As a teacher, so it is important to understand the effective of the pedagogical strategy so as to ensure the knowledge transfer and develop problem-solving skills of our students through online teaching. Now, so of course, there are benefits of teaching online. Online teaching provides opportunity to access and share information more easily, and teachers and students are able to join online communities, not only confined to geographic location, but their area of interest. However, the use of technology can be challenging. For example, the ability to use technology, the access of the internet and the technology are the common challenge to overcome. So especially nowadays, technology and software changes very rapidly. So this morning, Professor Ken from CU had conducted a keynote speech on the topic of innovative education with emerging technologies. And he also mentioned to adopt AI for the hands-on learning. So I'm looking forward to have this kind of new technology and could facilitate the online teaching. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chen. Here comes our final presentation. Please welcome Ms. Chang Wu from King Moket Institute of Technology. Ms. Wu has prepared a video for us, so please sit back and enjoy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a fun day. Now, I'm very glad to have the opportunity to introduce my paper. My paper's title is Using the Learning Access System for Teaching, the Influence of Autonomous Learning Ability on Cognitive Load and its Learning Effect. In the information age, how to use modern technology in teaching on the basis of cognitive load theory is an important issue, and success may be achieved through the effective teaching design to support learners, including a reduction of the learner's cognitive load and the promotion of German load and the efficiency of learning. This study mainly discusses the learning access environment through effective teaching design, the students' or the learner's learning ability, and the effect of cognitive load. The research hypothesis is as follows. First, autonomous learning ability is significant for cognitive load and the effect of learning. And second, autonomous learning ability can produce interaction with the material presentation mode and material difficulty. The research used are as follows. First, the learning style index of learning style is used to determine the learning style of learners. Second, a self-regulation ability test is used to measure knowledge, and the cognitive load test is used to measure recall. Then, a recognition test and a transfer test are used. 2 times multi-factor mixed experimental design is adopted. There are 4 independent variables: learning style, self-regulation, presentation mode of material, overview presentation, full text presentation, and material difficulty. Dependent variable are various indicators of cognitive load. The subjective evaluation of load index, recall test score, recognition test score, and transfer test score. The testing process is subject prior knowledge is tested. Cognitive load measured. analysis of learning effect. The results are divided into the following parts. First, the influence of learning style, self-regulation ability, and material presentation, more on cognitive load. And second, the influence of learning style, self-adjustment ability, and material presentation on academic performance. In this study, using the index of learning style scale and 2 times multi-factor mixed experiment, it is concluded that presentation style and the difficulty of the materials have different effects on cognitive load and learning results. In future studies, the presentation of learning materials and tasks can be considered as an auditory channel presentation, so as to further explore the measurement and influencing factors of auditory channel cognitive load, as well as the difference between visual channel cognitive load and other issues, which will have theoretical and practical significance. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for the sharing. Now it's time for questions and interaction with our presenters. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise hand and speak or leave the questions in the chat box. You're also welcome to share your thoughts and ideas regarding planning for the future education and using technology in teaching and learning. So anyone has comments or questions regarding the poster presentations? Presenters, you are also welcome to interact with other presenter if you like. I see a question from the chat box, which is for Dr. Jackie Chan.
Yes, I'm here, and
yes.
So I see that Florence asked a question, which is about what is the platform about Slack that I'm using. Basically, you're not familiar with it. This is very common because this platform was developed, I think, starting from 2016 or 2017. And why I choose this platform is that basically, as I mentioned in my presentation, there are a number of advantages. First of all, there is a thread function, which no matter WhatsApp or other kind of instant messengers do not have at that moment. What's the meaning of thread is that when you post a message in the chat box, students or others can click on the message, and then there will be a new pop-up on the screen, and then you can type your reply, so that when other people in that workspace would like to resume that conversation, they can simply click on the original message, and then all of the replies related to that message will be pop up, so that you can see and browse and read all the replies related to it in one window. This is the first benefits. And the second benefit is that it can connect to other third parties apps, such as I mentioned, Zoom or Google Drive. You can get all the latest updates automatically on your Slack workspace. So this is the two major reason that I select this Slack in my research. And also one more very important reasons is that it only requires you to use your email to do the registration, so that students' telephone numbers will not be disclosed to other people they are collaborating with, especially not in the same class, not in the same university, which is and other students from the other end of the world, okay, from another country in the world. So that's why I choose Slack.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chang. I think we can have more questions from the floor. Any questions for our presenters? Well, actually, I have a question for Ms. Ho and Christopher C. I think that your usage of Instagram stories in teaching is very creative, but as you mentioned, it may be problematic to mix teaching into social media, which is mainly used for leisure or fun. So I wonder, how do your students really think about it? Do you plan to do a study to collect student feedback in the future? Because I think an in-depth study on this teaching approach will be very interesting.
Sharon, I don't know if you want to say something from the student perspective. Perhaps I can share one or two thoughts. I mean, I think the interesting thing, the technology is so wonderful. And I think we all have, as educators, this idea that young people, they use the platform, so they're very familiar with it. But I think Instagram stories is very particular in its problem, in the sense that when you read Instagram stories, for those of you with an account, you don't really control exactly which account you go to. Perhaps like with Facebook, you might see it, whereas all the stories are played in a loop. So you don't know which story appears, and you may end up, watching dog videos and people eating cake, and then you have anatomy questions, and it's something of a problem. I think you're right to say this is something that is sort of a student cultural phenomenon, and therefore I think it's very interesting to see what the widespread views are. My feeling initially is that there's actually a really big divide. And to me, that's the biggest problem. There's some people who really like it and they say, well, we don't mind it on social media, we'd love to see it. And then there's another group who tend to be the slightly more quiet group, the ones that don't show up on the surveys. And those are the ones that they're not comfortable to use it, they don't want to. And I think this generates a real kind of rich-poor divide, educationally rich-poor divide. And so I think this is why, we were saying, perhaps it's better to stick to a real dedicated e-learning platform, because that way everyone has equal access and the problems are shared between everyone, and it's not based on their feeling about social media, where they can be really very different, I think. And so I think in the interest of fairness, this was our big concern, really. So that's from the old man sort of teacher perspective. I don't know if Sharon, if you want to add something from this.
Well, I think that, when I am, when sometimes I really want to learn anatomy, then I will purposely click on the account, because in an Instagram story, you can actually see a lot of circles on top of the feed, and then you can just click on the one that you want to see. So if I just want to look at the anatomy things, I can just click on that anatomy account, so that I will be looking at anatomy. But then if I'm looking at other things, and then I just want to play at that time, and then I suddenly see anatomy things, maybe I can just click away from it by clicking the back button, so that I will leave the story post. And then I can click to the other one, so that I can just literally skip the whole thing. So this is a way, from the student point of view, how I can skip the anatomy stuff when I don't want to see it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the sharing. Okay, any questions for other presenters? You can leave a line in the chat box, and then I can repeat the questions. Well, actually, I have another question for Dr. Katherine Yuen. Is it? Yeah. Are you here?
Yes.
Yeah. I think your study is quite interesting, but it appeared that student feedback was similar between two cohorts. So even though the educational intervention were in place, so can you tell us more the reasons for the similar feedback in between two cohorts?
Okay. So as I mentioned, so in the previous year, so we adopt a conventional teaching method. So that is face-to-face. So for this time, so because of the pandemic, so suddenly we switch the whole to online teaching. So my concern is, so was the teaching more adopt well by the students? So it was my concern. So that's why I compared the result from last year and the previous year with a different cohorts of students. So they receive learning through totally different teaching mode. So in my point of view, so if the result is not worse in comparison with the previous year, so I suppose so the patient, not the patient, so the students adopt well with this kind of teaching. And also, I also have a informal chat with my students regarding to the which one they prefer. So most of the time, though, so they reply that they prefer online mode.
They prefer online mode.
Yes. So it may be because it's more convenient for them. So because we have a early class in the morning, so that's 30 in the morning.
Yeah, it makes sense.
As you can share my experience.
Yeah.
So that's why they think when they wake up in the morning, so they immediately log on to the laptop, and then so they can learn immediately through the website. So for me, so as a old lady, okay, so I think it's quite fascinating. So because they adopt well, and also they prefer this kind of learning mode because more convenient for them.
Yeah.
But also save time for traveling as well.
Yes.
Yes. So I think this could be so they that's why they welcome this kind of learning and teaching. But at the same time, so they also concern whether they can pick up the hands-on practice afterwards. So that's why we also offer supplementary hands-on practice on campus. So hopefully they can benefit from different teaching mode at the same time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your answer. I think we have one more. We have time for one more question. So I think using is very interesting. I think I see there is comment from Jackie Chan. He said, I think using Instagram for teaching and learning is very interesting, but what I concern is that the feeding of ordering of Instagram stories is according to their internal algorithm. I'm afraid students cannot read all stories from their peers. Any feedback for this response?
Well, I think mastering the Instagram algorithm is a concern of celebrities and educators alike. I think you've highlighted a very good point there. I think this is an issue, and I think the fact that it's variable, the where it comes up, when it comes up, is what makes it less ideal than a dedicated learning software. And that's probably one of the problems we face. But I think, as perhaps as Carmen has suggested, it's something that really would be interesting to look at from the student perspective, and really to see how they feel, because the truth is for some, like I say, for old people like me, we don't know actually. The truth is we don't quite know, and I think we need more student input to see how and when they want to see it and when it appears.
Okay, actually I see one more question from Florence Parker, and it is for Dr. Joe Lam. I'm just wondering if you adopt the same teaching approach in the last semester during the pandemic. Maybe you can answer very quickly.
Yes, thank you for your question. In fact, during the pandemic, okay, we have we have the following arrangement. We have the remote lab. Okay, we still keep the remote lab. I think it is easy for students to access in their home. And for the mobile sensor, actually, student we just record the video and allow the student to watch some prepared video clips. And we just post on the learning management system in PolyU. There's a blackboard. And I require the student to do some sharing, for example, to get the data from the video and then post on the share PowerPoint in OneDrive. Okay, so far I remember. So, and this is about the laboratory setting. So I think the video recording is similar to our colleagues Katherine in PolyU.
Okay. If there's, thank you, Dr. Lam, for the answer. So if there's no more question, I think it will be at the end of the session. So thank you everyone for joining and participating.